Prescription coffee? Yes. Every morning, that sound lets you know that I'm awake. Can we take a second to just talk about how cool this coffee cup is? My good buddy Jay got me this for Christmas, and it's hands down one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten. Like, it even has my name on it. Prescription coffee? Yes. I just got done with my Bible study, and I'm reading in the book of Exodus, which I'm sure a lot of y'all know is the story of the Israelites leaving out of Egypt to go to the promised land that God gave them. And throughout that journey, we see that the Israelites did a lot of complaining along that journey to get to the promised land. I think there's a lot from the Israelite story and their journey that we can take and apply to our lives. And so the way that this equates to what's going on in the world right now with this whole quarantine, it's easy to look at it as a negative situation and complain about what we can't do or what we have to do. But I believe that God wants us to have hope and have a positive mindset. We don't know exactly what's going on or why God has allowed this to happen, what the bigger purpose and plan for this is. Believers should be hopeful and know that God is going to see us through it anyways. If it ruffles our feathers a little bit and we're not able to live our usual comfortable lifestyles, that's okay. Maybe that's exactly what God needed for us. Maybe that's what it is that needed to wake a lot of people up. And I understand that not everyone is a believer, not everyone knows the good news of the gospel. For people like that, I can understand why this might seem like a pretty hopeless situation and why it is easy to get down. But I want this to be an encouragement to believers and non-believers alike that you can find hope in Jesus. With the Israelites, they were complaining, but the whole time God was taking care of every single need that they had. They had food literally coming to them every single day, and they didn't have to worry about what they were going to eat. And what I was reading about today was they had this battle against the Amalekites. As long as Moses held his hands up to God, they were winning the battle. And when Moses got tired, people came to help hold his hands up because they knew as long as they remained trusting in God, they were going to win the battle. They had that faith and they had that belief that they were going to win. The same thing applies for us today. Are we complaining and just viewing this as a negative situation, or are we trusting that God is going to win the battle for us? Are we lifting our hands up to God and saying, God, this is in your control? So yeah, that's my little encouragement for today. And I think reading through Exodus has actually really been helping me have a hopeful mindset. So maybe just get in the book of Exodus and see how God wants to speak to you during everything that's going on right now. And so with that, stay positive and look for godly perspectives. Oh, that's good. Okay, so one good thing about this whole quarantine thing has been that instead of working out at the gym with weights like I usually do, I've been able to take this time to really just focus on getting more lean and in shape and really working on my core strength. And for anyone that knows anything about working out, you understand how important core strength is. And my core strength got pretty weak over the race. I'm wanting to build that back up so I can get better at rock climbing, which brings me to my next point. My good buddy Sam is about to come over and we're about to go out to Tisch State Park. Nope, no mail. I was really hoping to get a package in the mail. I don't know, maybe it'll come later in the afternoon. Another positive to this quarantine is that with all the extra time that I have on my hands, I'm able to start doing some things that I otherwise probably wouldn't do. One thing I've decided to take the initiative to do is to try and start up a garden, so I'm super excited about this. I definitely don't know a whole lot about gardening, and so there was definitely some fear that I would fail and didn't know enough to be able to do this. And because of work and everything else, I just didn't take the initiative to do it. So now with this whole quarantine, I kind of just stopped making excuses and was like, you know what, if I fail, oh well, at least I tried. So I don't know if this is actually going to produce anything, but it's worth a shot. Another positive to be thankful for is that I got to see my brother and his family yesterday and be able to wish my little niece a happy birthday.
I'm pretty.
3 years old?
Yeah.
Who are you dressed as?
Elsa?
Elsa?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow, so pretty. Oh my goodness. My brother also randomly brought over some guns he wanted to shoot, so that was fun too. My finger is bigger than this gun. I feel like this is gonna blow my hand off. Like, the fact that my finger is like right by the barrel. Oh! Okay, so things didn't go exactly according to plan, and we drove all the way out to Tisch State Park. And when we got to the Welcome Center, the lady said that the park was only partially open, and so it was only open for fishing at the lake. So the walking trails and everything like that was still closed. This kind of bummed us out for a little bit, but keeping in mind that I needed to keep a positive attitude and make the most of my situation, me and my buddy Sam decided to go to Tombigbee Waterway, which is still another really cool spot that I enjoy, and Sam had never been there, so it was cool to get to take him and show him. Then after that, we went to go hang out with another friend of ours, Braddock, and we just chilled at his house for a little bit. And I think we're gonna hang out again later tonight and maybe just have like a bonfire or something. So again, trying to keep a positive attitude and just make the most of this situation. And with something like this, that's really all you can do. You can't really control everything that happens or doesn't happen in life. And so the best thing we can do is just make the most of our situation and be thankful for God allowing us to do what we can do.